Allen wants to go. Wants the baseline. Fade away. Yes. He's way too good. He steps around Lou and drilled it. And the Sixers have scored 9 in a row. 7 straight points by Iverson. Looked like he was down the ball. The Sixers by 4.
And welcome once again to the Sports Skillet Radio Show. We want to thank you for taking time out of your day to join us. However, you're finding us on our social media accounts. We want to also thank the Heat Ratio Sports for also hosting us. Shout out to Tony Cotillo and all the fine people over at the Heat Ratio Sports for hosting us as well. We have a lot of great shows on the Heat Ratio Sports lineup. So you want to do a search for the Heat Ratio Sports. Great shows, all different kinds of shows, from sports betting to hockey to baseball to football. You name it, you can find it at the Heat Ratio Sports. We want to also encourage you to do a search for Sports Skillet on our social media sites. All you have to do is type in Sports Skillet and all our social media sites will pop up. Also head over to sportsskilletradio.com for our latest show news, sports updates, sports news. We have our Twitter account constantly updating all the sports news 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So you got that going on as well. Lots of good things happening at the Heat Ratio and Sports Skillet Radio. So you want to stay tuned in for all that great show stuff. I am Jay. I am joined this week by Mike Nebbia. Mike, as you can see, has a little problem with his camera this week. So we got the graphic up there instead of Mike, but that's okay. We'll get commentary from Mike. How are you doing this week, Mike?
I'm doing all right. Be doing better if my Mets were winning in the West Coast. But I digress. I'm still working on my YouTube channel, Mad Mike Sports.
There you go. So you want to
look for the tiger on the channel graphic.
There you go.
I do MLB. I'll be doing NHL when that season gets back up. I'll be doing NFL when that season gets kickstarted, and I'll be doing NASCAR today.
There you go. That's awesome, Mike. So stay tuned for that as well. Lots of good things happening for Mike. Normally we have Shane McGowan on, the coach, but he is detained this week. So hopefully we will have Shane back on the show next week, as well as hopefully Alex Secchia as well. But we will start off. Mike brought up a little baseball, so we will have a lot of NFL coverage. So you want to stay tuned for that as well. But Mike brought up baseball. And I got to tell you, Mike, Phillies and Mets are not doing well at the moment. Looks like both will struggle to make the postseason if they do. Mets are in their big series with the Dodgers and the Giants. We thought that this was going to be a killer for them. And so far, that's turning out to be exactly as expected. They're struggling against both the Dodgers and the Giants. Mike, doesn't look good for the Mets making the postseason right now at the moment that we're taping this.
Doesn't look good right now, but if they can claim some games from the Dodgers and Giants and get at least one from the Padres coming up, they'll be in moderate shape heading into this next stretch with 14 straight against division rivals as well as the Yankees.
I would agree with that. I don't, right now it looks like Atlanta's running away with the division. Phillies are about 5 games back as we're taping this on Sunday morning. But this division is a bunch of 500 teams. And although Atlanta is running away with the division, or seems to be, I think they'll come back to the pack because they're about to run into their tough part of their schedule. So the way Atlanta looks to be running away, they could be coming back to the pack because all of a sudden the Phillies are going to get through their rough part of the schedule. The Mets the Phillies, have the softest schedule of all 3 teams, the Phillies, Mets, and Braves. They just haven't been taking advantage of it. They got swept by the Arizona Diamondbacks, if you can believe that. One of, if not,
what? Who gets swept by the Diamondbacks?
Exactly my point.
How does a team like the Diamondbacks go from 87 wins 2 years ago to on pace to break the all-time loss record?
I agree with you, Mike. I absolutely do. It was an absolute garbage series by the Phillies. You had a lot of good vibes heading out to the West Coast because, hey, you're facing probably the second worst team in all of baseball next to the Baltimore Orioles, and you get swept. I mean, how can you possibly get swept by the Arizona Diamondbacks of all teams when you're in a freaking pennant race? Give me a break. I mean, I said to you last week, Mike, that it was incomprehensible to me that that the Mets were going to do well against the Dodgers and the Giants, and it seemed incomprehensible to me that the Phillies would get swept by the Arizona Diamondbacks, one of the worst teams. One of the worst teams in baseball, and yet the Phillies go out there and absolutely lay an egg against the Diamondbacks, struggle to score runs.
Diamondbacks.
I laugh. I mean, I'm right with you. There is literally no excuse for that. None. When you're in a pennant race, when you're trying to win the division, no excuse. And you have Zach Wheeler on the mound.
That is worse than busting on card sharks.
Exactly. And the other thing, you bring that up, Mike. News broke this week too. I wanted to get your opinion on, and feel free to give us drop a line on our social media account, wherever you may be, if you're following us, because we want to get your opinions on anything that happened this week in the world of sports. But Mike, we had news break this week. You brought up a game show there. We had news break this week that the executive producer that was going to be the main host of Jeopardy apparently bowed out. So now all of a sudden you have
allegations of sexual misconduct broke out against Jeopardy executive producer who was soon to be the host, Mike Richards. They had already taped episodes with Richards as host, and they will air them. But Richards decides, nah, I'm not going to take the job. We're bringing back the guest hosts. And again, my money is on LeVar Burton.
I would love to see that. A lot of other people would too. I mean, LeVar Burton seems to be the popular choice of being
Here's a man who's dedicated his life to education and literacy. A Star Trek alum, the longtime host of Reading Rainbow. He's ready. He's ready for Jeopardy.
I think so. He's a popular choice to host the show. And I think he would be a great host for Jeopardy. He would bring in a Jeopardy audience. He would be goodwill towards the show. Doesn't have anything against his character or anything like that. I think he would make a great host to Jeopardy.
And people are also saying former champion Buzzy Cohen would be a great choice to host. They're also saying Ken Jennings, but he's probably got commitments to ABC's The Chase as one of the chasers. So that might throw a wrench into Ken Jennings as host of Jeopardy.
I mean, hey, maybe Aaron Rodgers gets to host Jeopardy if they can work it out with his schedule. Who knows? But the door is open right now for another person to rise up and be the permanent host of Jeopardy. We already know that Mayim Bialik is going to be host of like the special,
the primetime specials that they're doing on ABC now.
Yes, so
it's now going to take two people to fill out Trebek's shoes.
Exactly. Yeah, he was that good of a host. So if you have
37 years with Trebek, and it's going to take two people to fill his shoes.
Exactly. So if you have, if you're listening to the show and drop us a line, who do you think should be the permanent host of Jeopardy? pop up on our social media boards and let us know. But we were talking a little baseball there, and Phillies and Mets are struggling right now. Phillies offense definitely needs a boost. You got some guys for the Phillies that are currently on some minor league rehab tour, so maybe they come back and give the team a little bit of a boost. The Phillies lost a killer game in San Diego on Saturday night. For those who aren't watching, Phillies were literally 1 out away from taking 2 games in a row from the San Diego Padres.
But
Phillies,
then Tatis Jr. happened.
No, it actually wasn't Tatis Jr. It was the guy batting in front of Tatis Jr. Hit a game-tying home run to force the game into extra innings off of Phillies starter Aaron Nola, who Joe Girardi left in the game. Had reached the maximum number of pitches that he had ever thrown. I believe it was around 115, 116 pitches.
Why did you leave Nola in the 9th inning?
Well, I will tell you why. And I completely agree with Girardi's reasoning, because Aaron Nola had been slicing and dicing through the Padres lineup. He was 1 out away from getting the complete game. Yes, there was a runner on base at the time, but Aaron Nola had been slicing and dicing through that Padres lineup. I have no problem with leaving Nola in there. The bullpen was a little bit gassed going into yesterday's game, as you might expect it to be, with the Phillies not getting a whole lot of complete games this year. But no problem leaving Aaron Nola in there to try and get the complete game. And Aaron Nola makes one bad pitch, and boom, the ball is hit out, and the game is tied. Game goes into extra innings. You have the ghost runner on second base. Phillies were not.
I get that rule. I still don't get the ghost runner rule.
I'm with you. I know it's to speed up the game. I know it's to save the bullpens and all that, but
it's a pandemic era rule. I believe that's going away in 2022.
I believe you are correct. And
I know someone else that is with us on the ghost runner on second rule that doesn't get it. One of my female friends, Samantha Jacobson. She hates the ghost runner rule.
I'm with you.
In 2022. So.
Yeah, I'm with you, Mike. I don't like the ghost runner rule at all. Like I said, I know what the purpose is. It's to speed up games, save arms in the bullpen, and all that. But I just don't like it myself. I know it adds a little bit of strategy in there at times, but I'm with you, Mike. Phillies aren't able to even move the ghost runner up. He stays on second base. Bottom of the 10th inning, Padres come up, and with a wild pitch, the game ends. Runner scores from third.
Worst way to end the game, wild pitch.
Yep.
I mean, there could be worse. A walk-off error. A walk-off balk, even.
Yes. But walk-off wild pitch and a ball that the catcher should have blocked. Maybe he was crossed up a little bit, but should have blocked it. A ball in the dirt. Phillies backup catcher should have blocked it, but so ends the game. Padres end up winning. So now the Padres and Phillies this afternoon, early evening, go for the 2 out of 3 in the series. Both teams have taken one game now. So Phillies, Padres today will go and see who wins the series. But now the Phillies are 5 games back, maybe 6 games back by the end of the day if the Phillies don't win. But it puts more pressure on the Phillies, puts more pressure on definitely the New York Mets to keep pace with Atlanta Braves, or at least try and get a game on them. Because, the Mets are still trying to catch both the Phillies and the Braves in this division, Mike.
Yeah, and it'll be a tough task with the Mets still on their West Coast swing. They still got to get through San Diego, and they still got to get through, I think, 3 more in San Francisco before they get back.
Yeah.
their upcoming schedule, they got Washington, which is in rebuild. They got Philadelphia struggling. They got to deal with Milwaukee. Then they got that 9/11 weekend tilt with the Yankees, which I'm so looking forward to. Then it's back along the NL East with Atlanta, Miami, Washington, Philly.
Yep. So tough road to hoe for both the Phillies and the Mets right now because you have to get wins. You can't fall any farther behind Atlanta and hope to win the division. You really can't. Also,
Mets got to win that series against Atlanta coming up.
I agree. Also, news broke this week, came out, sticking with baseball, that lefty Cole Hamels had arm pain again, and it has been shut down for the year. So the Dodgers are on the hook for the prorated version. They had signed Cole Hamels to a $1 million contract to be an arm that comes back in September sometime. Of course, he had to ramp up. He was in the process of doing that, experienced arm problems again, shut down for the year. This could be the end of Cole Hamels, I'm thinking, of his career. He's going to have a lot to think about. Teams are going to have a lot to think about when it comes to signing Cole Hamels in the offseason, if they do.
Didn't he already have Tommy John?
I don't think he had Tommy John, but he has had arm issues the past 2 seasons.
Yeah, I bet if I'm Cole Hamels, I better think about Tommy John surgery.
I don't know if he can. He's 37 years old. He can't take that kind of time off anymore because you have Tommy John surgery and you're shut down. You're absolutely shut down for a year plus. And at 37 years old, he can't afford to have Tommy John. You can't come back at 40 plus years old in baseball and pitch effectively. So whatever he has to do in the offseason to get his arm right, if he is planning on continuing his career, he's going to have to get done because he's going to have to do another showcase. I don't think the team is going to sign him in the offseason until he shows that his arm is 100%. He had the showcase early July, and teams were moderately interested in him. I heard rumors that he got it up to maybe around 90, 91, somewhere around there. He didn't get anywhere near 99 to 100, so it was in the low 90s maybe. The Dodgers were going to bring him in because they need some starting pitching at the moment. May need it in September during the stretch run. Cole Hamels obviously has been through pennant races before, veteran arm. So they were going to take a chance on him, but now that he's
the arm pain returned.
Yeah. Now that he's had arm problems for the second year in a row, his career may be done. He's going to have to show once again, prove to teams that his arm is 100%. And if he's only making $1 million a year, that's low in professional baseball. I don't know if teams are going to be interested in him again and what timeline he's going to be on to show that he can be 100%. Will he be ready for spring training to maybe latch on with a team and do a showcase? Who knows? But Cole Hamels' career may be at the end at this point. So that's the news on Cole Hamels. You also had the Padres going out, I believe, and signing Jake Arrieta, who was released from the Chicago Cubs for being ineffective. The Chicago Cubs gave Jake Arrieta every opportunity to show this year that he is still a quality major league pitcher, and he got hit all over the ballpark. I mean, he was toast every time he took the mound. So the San Diego Padres are apparently giving Jake Arrieta another start, another try out there. I don't know what Jake Arrieta has left, but the Padres are going to give him a shot. They're going through injury problems right now, so who knows what Jake Arrieta is going to give them. what kind of boost he could give their rotation. Doesn't look like a lot, but they're going to take a shot on Jake Arrieta. So we got Jake Arrieta going to the San Diego Padres. Turning real quickly to the NFL, Tim Tebow gets released from the Jacksonville Jaguars, struggling to make the transition to tight end. The Jaguars brought him in to see maybe if he could be a tight end, Mike, but that experiment is over. Tim Tebow got released by the Jacksonville Jaguars this week and is a free agent if another team wants to take a chance on him. I doubt another team will. He had his former college coach as head coach of the Jaguars. I guess, hey, we'll give you a shot. I know you're from college, so we'll bring you in. We'll give you a shot at tight end. But now it looks like Tebow.
I think he's done.
I think he's done as well. So
I think he heads over. I think he heads back to ESPN.
I'm with you. I don't think another team is going to pick him up. So if you can't play football, he's done with baseball. He's not going to play hockey or basketball. So I think his athletic career is over. So I think Tebow is done. If he can't play tight end in the NFL, so there you go with that. Also, in basketball, you had Joel Embiid agreeing to a 4-year, $196 million Supermax extension with the Philadelphia 76ers this week. So the Sixers got Joel Embiid locked up. They made their choice between Embiid and Simmons. So they have Embiid locked up. They're still waiting to trade Ben Simmons. I put on there that I think, and I've been of this mindset, I think Ben Simmons is going to be on this Philadelphia 76ers at the start of the season. I think if there was a trade to be made for Ben, certainly the Sixers are listening to offers for Ben.
Price tag is too high right now.
I agree.
Price tag is way too high, and if Simmons performs, that tag is only going to get higher.
I agree. I think for whatever reason,
Deshaun Watson, that price tag is 3 first-round picks. No team is going to have 3 first-round picks.
Not currently, I'm telling you. And that was all the charges that are being accusations, I should say, that are being levied against Deshaun Watson, because you can't take. We don't know what if anything the NFL is going to do with Deshaun right now. If you have Deshaun Watson on your team, according to the NFL, they have taken no action against Deshaun Watson. So right now, Deshaun Watson is eligible to play, but
he ain't playing.
But right now, we don't know what action, if any, the NFL is going to take against Deshaun. Nothing has been proven yet against Deshaun in a court of law. So the accusations by all the women are just that. They're going to court, civil court, to try and go that route against Deshaun Jackson. No criminal charges have been levied against Deshaun Watson, to my knowledge, as we tape this. But you have apparently the FBI looking into Deshaun Watson, seeing if there's a trafficking case that can be made against him. But again, no action, no criminal charges have been levied against him. No trafficking charges have been levied against Deshaun Watson. No action has been taken by the NFL against Deshaun. So right now, Deshaun is eligible to play, but we don't know in the future what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson. So you can't give up your future to trade for Deshaun when he could possibly go to jail. He could possibly be suspended for who knows how long. put on the commissioner's list, miss a season, miss half a season. You can't
miss 2 seasons.
Miss 2 seasons. Who knows? Because once
You never want to be on the commissioner list. Once you're on the commissioner list, it's a tough road to get back.
It is. You have to apply for reinstatement, then go through that. The commissioner has to then take you off the list, and it's a tough road to hoe, because the NFL wants to protect the shield and everything like that, although sometimes they do a bad job at doing that. But you can't give up, you can't give up 3 first-round picks and a player.
Yeah, case in point is Antonio Brown.
Yeah. Now Antonio Brown is playing again back in the league, playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Tom Brady. But again, he showed that he's eligible to come off the list. But again, if you have all these charges against you and all this legal stuff, it'll be tough to get off the list if he is indeed placed on it. So, you can't give up all these picks for Deshaun Watson. And speaking of Deshaun Watson, one of the teams that are in the hunt supposedly for Deshaun is the Philadelphia Eagles. And they had a little bit of controversy on Thursday evening with their starting quarterback, Jalen Hurts. He was out on the field before the Eagles game with the New England Patriots, taking warm-ups, doing a little dancing, and all of a sudden, right before the game, it was announced that he had gone to the hospital with stomach pain.
Oh, no.
And was taken to the hospital. And then it's really murky as to whether or not he went back to Lincoln Financial Field or just went home from the hospital. But in either event, he went back to the Lincoln Financial Field real quick, picked up his whatever he needed to pick up, and went home, and then was told, I guess, by the doctor, medical personnel at the hospital, that he was advised to stay at home this weekend and not participate in any Eagles activities, practices that they had going on. But the thing that created the controversy with the Eagles is that the whole right side of their offensive line was taken out of the game. So you had no Jalen Hurts, you had no Kelsey, no right side of the offensive line. A bunch of starters, pretty much all the starters on defense were benched. The kicker was benched. So the Eagles basically played their second, third, fourth string players against New England's first string, second string, third string players throughout the game. And they got trounced. Didn't score any points. I believe final score was like 35-0.
35-0.
Yep. It was an absolute travesty of a game. And for those people that paid their hard-earned money for parking, which was not inexpensive, probably around $30, $40, paid for the game ticket. Now you go into one of these preseason games, and yes, in this game you're probably only going to see Jalen Hurts and some of the starters for maybe a few series, maybe a quarter, at most maybe a half. But still, you want to see the starters go up against the Patriots starters. The game is on TV, and the Eagles benched pretty much all their starters in this after having 2 good scrimmages against the Patriots on Tuesday and Wednesday of this past week. I mean, it was what?
In Foxborough, no less.
No. It was in Philadelphia, Mike.
Oh, I got him confused with the Giants who
had
scrimmages in Cleveland. Gone it, Michael.
Yeah. But the Eagles did well in their scrimmages. You control scrimmage. You're able to control what you are practicing, and the Eagles starters did well. So really, right before the game, it was kind of like a bait and switch. So fans who bought tickets to the game, paid for parking, maybe a beverage, something to eat. All of a sudden, the
Chicken
game
Pete's crab fries. That'd be my go-to. Chickies and Pete's crab fries.
There you go.
It's my go-to at Waterfront Park, man.
Yeah.
I've never gone through a game day at Waterfront Park without Chickies and Pete's crab fries and their boneless wings. So,
absolutely delicious stuff right there. Paid for that, spent all this money, and then you add at the last minute. Oh, by the way, you're not seeing any of the starters. Boom. Or very few, or as minimum as we can get out there. It was a bait and switch by the Eagles.
That sounds like an NFL-themed Dr. Phil episode.
I agree with you. I mean, it was classic bait and switch by the Philadelphia Eagles for people who had bought tickets to the game. Now, like I said, you go into this with a certain degree of expectation. We know we're not going to see this started for the full game. Maybe a few series, but you're planning on seeing Jalen Hurts throwing to Devonta Smith. You know, how well will this Eagle offense do? I want to see Jalen Hurts back there. No, you get Joe Flacco.
Past his prime, Joe Flacco.
Exactly.
Not his prime. Thank you.
Exactly. I absolutely, would be apoplectic if I was a fan. Like, what? I wanted to see a little bit of Jalen Hurts, and I'm getting Joe Flacco for the half or for most of the game, and then I'm going to see Nick Mullins, who is who played somewhat decently, I would say, for the 49ers
twice.
Yeah. And now he can't play anymore. I mean, this guy, Nick Mullins, absolutely is garbage for the Philadelphia Eagles. Maybe he catches on with another team. Who knows? Once the Eagles cut him, but
he's getting cut. Mullins is getting cut. No question.
Oh, no doubt about it. The Eagles, if they want another quarterback, are going to sign one off the waiver wire because Nick Mullins has shown to be absolute garbage in there, and I'm not afraid to say it. I'm just letting everybody know out there.
One team doesn't mean he's going to be good with another.
Exactly. Talking about two totally different offenses, different playbook you have to learn, everything like that. And he's turning out to be absolute garbage. Joe Flacco's lucky if he doesn't get cut. He'll probably still be the backup. He's a veteran guy. The Eagles will probably keep Flacco, but
and someone for Hurts to learn from, basically.
Yeah, be that veteran presence on the team, but he's not showing a whole heck of a lot. Now, granted, he was playing with the 2s, the 3s, the 4s in Thursday night's game, but he's still not showing a whole heck of a lot this preseason. So, who knows what the Eagles are going to do for their backup quarterback, but hopefully for the Eagles, Jalen Hurts remains healthy and upright all season, because if the Eagles have to go with Joe Flacco for any given period of time, that could be a rough stretch for the Eagles.
If the Eagles have to go with Joe Flacco, they might go 6-11, maybe 7-10.
I don't even know that they could get that many wins with Flacco at quarterback.
Yeah, which in this division is good enough for a playoff spot.
Yeah, but I don't even know if they could get that many wins with Joe Flacco at quarterback.
I'm not underestimating him. I'm not.
Well, the way he's played in preseason, Mike, I wouldn't put that many wins on the back of Joe Flacco.
Yeah, preseason is not indicative of how one will perform in the regular season.
True.
That's the hard way with Daniel Jones.
True. Speaking of which, how do you, since we got you on there, how are you evaluating the Giants preseason so far, Mike?
I'm basically taking a look at the first and second strings. Daniel Jones seems to have rectified that turnover issue for now. And the second strings I'm not too impressed with. So I'm a little worried if we run into injury issues. But if Jones keeps it up and rectifies that turnover issue, I think we'll be fine.
Gotcha. And there are some interesting developments going on with the New England Patriots. Team the Eagles played on Sunday. You have a quarterback battle going on right now between Mac Jones and Cam Newton. And Mac Jones is definitely putting the heat on Cam for the starting quarterback job for the New England Patriots. You have Cam who can scramble around a little bit, can obviously take off, still run with the ball, but you have Mac Jones who is kind of similar to the offense that they ran with Tom Brady. Your pocket quarterback, not going to take off and run with the ball, going to stay in the pocket, going to deliver the ball on time to his wide receivers. I kind of
Mac
think
Jones looked great.
he has.
Mac Jones looked great during the game against the Eagles.
It would be hard not to with the way the Eagles' backups played, and that worries me a little bit, too, if the Eagles suffer a significant injury and have to go to their backups. Their backups have not looked good at all so far in the preseason. But with the New England Patriots, Mac Jones is definitely putting the heat on Cam Newton. I still think they're probably going to go – Belichick is going to go with Cam to at least start the season, but Mac Jones is definitely doing well so far, Mike.
He is. Mac Jones has impressed this preseason. I wouldn't be too surprised if they go to Mac Jones at some point in the early part of the season.
I would tend to agree with you. If all of a sudden Cam Newton starts struggling a little bit, and the Patriots get a couple of losses, because here's the thing, I do think that Belichick saw what Brady did last season. Obviously, Brady won the Super Bowl out down there in Tampa Bay. So I think the heat is on Belichick a little bit, getting some of his players back off the COVID list from last year. The Patriots going out and spending a ton in the free agent market to bring in players. I think Belichick is kind of feeling the heat a little bit to try and get into the playoffs this year. And I do think that if all of a sudden Cam Newton starts struggling a little bit, you could see Mac Jones in there to give the team a spark a little bit based on the way he's played in the preseason.
Yeah, if Newton starts struggling, which he may do, Jones is going to come in. No question about it. Mac Jones is going to come in at some point during the season. Will it be week 4, week 5? I don't know. I think it might be around week 5 or 6 that he comes in, that Mac Jones comes in.
Could be. And I do think it's going to be based on the play of Cam Newton. I do think if Cam Newton plays well, Mac Jones remains on the bench. But if Cam Newton struggles and the Patriots get some losses, I do think we could see Mac Jones in there. And you look at the division that they're in, I think Buffalo is still going to be a quality team. I think the Patriots have to show that they're in Buffalo's class right now.
And they're not right now.
And maybe they are, maybe they're not, but they definitely have to catch Buffalo. You got the Miami Dolphins. I think they're all set and ready to go, possibly to complete for a playoff spot. The only question I have is, can Tua lead them to the playoffs or not? That's the only question I have with the Miami Dolphins. I think the Jets are probably going to struggle a little bit as they're still in rebuild mode. I like the Jets draft.
They've been in rebuild mode since Favre retired.
Yes. Actually, probably since Namath retired. But I do think the Jets had a pretty good draft this past offseason, but I don't think that they're ready to compete with Buffalo and Miami as of yet. So, but I do think they're on their way. I do think that, but I don't know whether they're ready to compete quite for a playoff spot just yet. But I do think the Jets are on their way to being a competitive playoff team. I do think Joe Douglas has them primed for that, just not this past season. I still think they have to get some more players on their team and build around their young starting quarterback, who's shown a lot in the preseason, by the way. I do like their young starting quarterback. We'll see what he does once the bright lights and the cameras start and the season starts in a couple of weeks. But I do think that they're on their way there. But I don't think they're ready to compete for a playoff spot just yet. And speaking of Buffalo, they got a little bit of controversy going on there, Mike, because they are petitioning the state and county for a new arena. And yes, and
that can only go so well.
And the NFL has shown in the past that they don't mess around. Once a team wants a new arena, the NFL will not hesitate to move a team. So once a team says, "Hey, it will cost too much to refurbish the arena stadium that we're currently playing in," which the Buffalo Bills are currently stating, we need a new arena built. We want to stay in Buffalo. We like Buffalo. We want to remain here, but you need to build us a new arena. Then it falls on the state and the local government to agree to build that new arena, and of course the taxpayers ultimately.
That's gonna end up as the deal breaker.
And yeah. And, well, Toronto, maybe somewhere else, maybe Texas.
No.
Yeah, maybe.
Bills to Toronto. That seems to be the only option for me. Bills to the Sky Dome.
Maybe. Or to Texas. Rumor that the NFL might want to have another team in Texas. So, or maybe another spot that we're totally not thinking of.
The Alamo Dome just isn't suited for the NFL, in my opinion.
Maybe.
I would just take him to Toronto. I would just take him to Canada, give the NFL a Canadian presence.
Yeah, but then again, you got to deal with the same thing that the NHL and the MLB has had to deal with this year when it comes to COVID and getting players into and out of Canada and all that's going on there. So that could be a deal breaker in the NFL moving a team to Canada. Might be nice to have a team in Canada, but
they have played games in Canada to record crowds. They played games in Toronto to record crowds. It just makes sense.
True. They've also played some games in New Mexico as well.
They played games in Mexico as well to record crowds.
They've also the other thing to think about too is they also play games over in New England as well.
In England.
Yes. So,
and they have ready-made stadiums in England. They have Etihad Stadium, New Tottenham Stadium. They have Wembley Stadium and Old Trafford, Manchester, which I would love to see an NFL game there as a big Man U fan.
There you go. So again, you have,
But the only one that makes sense to me is Toronto. It's just across the northern border. It's within driving distance for the Buffalo Bills faithful. Just makes sense.
It does, but again, you have to consider
COVID.
You have to consider COVID. Where's the team going to practice? And all the logistics right now that you have to deal with COVID and everything. We only have one team. I believe it's the Atlanta Falcons that's fully vaccinated. So every other team, you have players on the team or coaches or whatever that's unvaccinated currently. So, that's a huge issue right now. And would the NFL, and I agree with you, that would be good for Buffalo Bills fans in terms of seeing games, and it might be an interesting idea for the NFL. But again, would the NFL, with COVID being as prevalent as it is and on the forefront of people's minds, would the NFL put a team in Canada, or would they put? And the same
I would.
thing, I would consider it. But again, you have to look at COVID, and again, the COVID issue pops up with England as well, going over there. Would the NFL put a team in England going over to a whole nother? I mean, again, the COVID issue pops up as well when you're talking about putting a team in England.
The Jaguars were rumored to be moving to England years ago.
Exactly.
So their current owner stepped in and said, "Nah, we're keeping it in Jacksonville."
Yep. But would it, and again, you have COVID issues in England as well. You're talking about a whole nother country there also. So again, you look at that issue about moving a team, and the NFL will not hesitate. You look at the Rams, you look at the Chargers. The NFL will.
You look at the Raiders. Coach McDonald would be all over this.
Exactly, and the NFL will not hesitate. If you do not give us a stadium, if you do not give us what we want, we will take a team and we will move it to somewhere that will give us what we want to, a state-of-the-art stadium that we can build. Now, we may have to move a team temporarily to a different location, and the NFL will do that, but the NFL will not hesitate to move a team to a new location, to a new stadium, and we've seen it recently. So, so for Buffalo, they got to think long and hard about building the Bills a new stadium or not. If the state and the city does not agree to build a new stadium for the Bills, the NFL could readily move the Bills to a new location, and we can speculate about what that location would be, but the NFL has shown in the past that it will move a team and will not hesitate to do so. So there you go with the Buffalo Bills, and staying with the NFL.
They've been at Ralph Wilson Stadium for almost 50 years.
Yeah, exactly. Staying with the NFL topic, this broke this week as well. Apparently, the Washington football team has narrowed down their list of names to about 3. Now, we don't know yet what those 3 names are, but they put out a list that they chose from, and the finalists for the new team name for the Washington football team are the Armada, the Brigade, the Commanders, the Defenders, the Presidents, the Red Hogs, the Red Wolves, and staying with the Washington football team. So
I do not want it to say Washington football team, so that name is already out.
Okay. So what team name would you choose, Mike, from that list?
I had it down to 3, and one of them is political, so I will not say it here, but I had an idea for that name. I had it down to the team name that I will not say on here.
Okay.
The Commanders and the Brigade.
Okay, gotcha. So I kind of like staying with the Washington football team. I wouldn't mind them.
That's not going to stay. I know that's not going to stay.
I'm kind of agreeing with you. I don't think it stays either, but I wouldn't mind it. I like the I like the Red Wolves as well, and this was brought up on one of our social media pages. If you're gonna stay in DC, how about the DC Defenders? That was brought up.
That's the XFL team, isn't it?
And something like that. I think one of the old team names might have been the DC Defenders. So
yeah, that's the XFL team.
Yeah, and I wouldn't
have to go through the Rock, Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
Yeah, possibly.
So that one's out.
So that one could be out. You're right. if they, well, right now, depending on the team names, I don't know if the XFL is going to renew that team name or not. So maybe that, if there's not a copyright on it, maybe they could use it. But maybe the Defenders, maybe the Washington Defenders. But those were the team names that came out, and
Kind of like in the Brigade, to be honest.
The Brigade. That's not too bad, I guess.
They could have sections at FedEx Field named for the branches of the military.
There you go. So those were the team names that apparently Washington has chosen from. And now from that list, narrowed it down to 3, and I guess they're going to choose. But they didn't say what 3 from that list they've chosen. So,
I think once they reveal that 3, they can have a fan vote. Have the fans vote on the new name.
I wouldn't mind that because the fans are going to be paying for the tickets. So why not put it out there on social
knowing
media?
Dan Snyder, he's going to be a dummy and pick the dumbest name possible. That is not Washington football team.
Could be. Well, maybe if they give their Ron Rivera a little bit more authority, because I know he has a lot of authority down there in Washington already. Maybe if they give Ron Rivera a little bit more authority and Ron Rivera puts it out on the social media site and says, hey, what team name do you guys choose? Maybe that would be a good idea for them as well. Mike,
give some input.
Yeah. So, Mike, what's going on in NASCAR this week?
We got Michigan today, 3 p.m. over on NBCSN. This is the next to last race before the chase begins. 2-mile D-shaped oval. And we're going to be in for some long green flag runs and potentially a whole ton of debris cautions to break up those green flag runs. So strategy is going to come into play for these crew chiefs. And I'd love to see a surprise winner at Michigan to kind of shake up the chase picture, so to speak. But since it's Michigan, I'm going to go with the guy who's been money here at Michigan plenty of times before, and that's going to be Kyle Larson.
Kyle Larson, that's Mike's pick for this week. And Mike, there was a lot of things going on with last week's race. I saw you tweeting out quite a bit.
Yeah, there was a lot of things going on with last week's race. I believe that was at Watkins Glen. I'm gonna check NASCAR schedule. NASCAR 2021 schedule.
I know it was a you said they were coming back, and it was a not the normal track that they were racing on.
Oh yeah, it was a road course. Oh,
yes.
Nice one, Michael. You really messed this one up. Indianapolis road course.
Yes.
2 red flags. There were 2 big wrecks that led to overtimes, and there was one would-be caution that was not called a caution. Martin Truex Jr. spins on the first overtime that led to a big wreck, which led to one of the red flags. Race control lost control of the race, in my humble opinion. They should have called a caution the second Truex Jr. spun. I don't know why they didn't call caution, but they should have. That would have prevented that big wreck. That happened just a lap later.
Gotcha. So
I heard some rave reviews about the Indy road course, despite the chaos. And of course, we got a repeat of the 2008 Phoenix Chase race. If you don't already know, in 2008, when ABC had the rights, they aired the Phoenix Chase race. It ran long because of rain. Yes, it does rain in Phoenix. And a red flag. And because of that, ABC decided to switch to America's Funniest Home Videos at 7 p.m. because the race was running long. They flipped the race over to ESPN2, which not a lot of Americans get. So that screwed the Eastern and Central time zones out of the finish of the race, while the Mountain and Pacific time zones got the race to its conclusion on ABC. Same thing happened in 2007 at Kansas, where after a lengthy rain delay, end of the broadcast window, ABC flips to ESPN2. Eastern and Central time zones get screwed.
Horrible, horrible, horrible.
Broadcasting
Horrible.
miscues happen again with NBC.
Horrible.
And we saw that 2020 Talladega chase race. So
horrible.
It was after the Heidi game where we saw something pass that said, in the next contract, all games, all sporting events have to be broadcast to their conclusion.
Exactly.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what NBC pulled, what ABC pulled back then. That's a violation.
I would think so. Stay with the game until the game is over, because you never know what can happen. You think one team is going to win, and then all of a sudden another team could make a historic comeback, and people want to see that. Once the game is put on the airways, people want to see the game till its conclusion, because you never know what can happen during the course of a sporting game. Whether it be basketball, football, hockey, baseball, you never know what can happen.
2 touchdowns in 9 seconds.
Now granted, you get to a point where, okay, this team has it in the back. There's no way that there's going to be, a comeback, but you still have to air it until its conclusion. You really do. Because you never know. You never know
what could happen in the final few seconds or the final few laps of a race.
Exactly. So you want to stick with it and hold on to it. So again, what's your prediction for this week, Mike?
I'm predicting Kyle Larson to win at Michigan.
Okay, gotcha. Before we get out of here, just want to touch a little bit on our pro wrestling stuff. We had a couple of big comebacks within the past few days. AEW on Friday.
When it comes to this subject, so I'm just going to mute myself.
Oh, okay. So we had a couple of big comebacks here on AEW. They apparently changed the game a little bit, because Friday night CM Punk made his historic comeback, not with the WWE, but with AEW. So the game has changed a little bit with CM Punk coming back, and wow, did he get a pop once his music hit and he came out. His pop was historic. People were crying, cheering. Fans in Chicago loved CM Punk's comeback, and it's great to see him back in professional wrestling. He's going to take part in AEW's pay-per-view next month in September. So he will be on the show this coming Wednesday. So if you want to tape it, set your DVRs to see CM Punk. He will be on AEW this coming Wednesday. They announced it. So you want to set your DVRs for that as well. Great to see CM Punk back. And you got to wonder, too, if he's back, what happens with AJ Lee? Will she make her comeback as well? Because she's been out of the wrestling business for quite a while. But now with CM Punk coming back and being a part of AEW, will she make her return to AEW as well and lift the women's division? That remains to be seen. No rumors on that happening as of yet, but you never can tell. Now that Punk's back, maybe his wife, AJ Lee, makes her return as well. But it's great to see CM Punk back. Rumors are still flying out there that once the 90-day no-compete clause evaporates, goes into thin air, that Daniel Bryan could make his return to professional wrestling, and maybe he'll join up with AEW as well. And then, of course, you got Bray Wyatt hanging out there. His no-compete clause, I believe, ends in October. So it'll be another month or two before Bray Wyatt could appear anywhere, getting released from the WWE. But the game is changing right now, and right now AEW is definitely must-see TV with CM Punk in there and Sting and all these other guys. We saw SummerSlam last night. Played to some mixed reviews, definitely on social media. We had Brock Lesnar making his return to the WWE at the conclusion of SummerSlam, getting into a stare down with Roman Reigns after Roman Reigns successfully defended his title against John Cena. So it looks like Brock Lesnar is back with the WWE. We'll be going into a program with Roman Reigns. John Cena, obviously, thank God he didn't get the title, because you got to have the title. You got to have the title on one of your top shows. John Cena. If John Cena had been beaten Roman Reigns, it would have been total chaos in the locker room, because some of these guys that have been working tirelessly to try and get into a program to try and wrestle for the top title, to see it go bye-bye until WrestleMania or the fall or whatever. You got to have your title on one of your signature shows. So John Cena was probably never going to win the title, beat Roman Reigns for the title. But
Jay, you've been saying this. WWE needs better writers, because AEW is becoming a thing. And
it is.
Now that TNT and TBS have NHL rights, there's going to be some tie-ins with NHL.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. It's already tied in. The AEW is already becoming a monster. And so how did the WWE answer? They brought back Brock Lesnar last night. It'll be interesting to see what they do with Paul Heyman, because we know Paul Heyman was the advocate for Brock Lesnar when we last saw Brock. Paul Heyman is now, you want to say, the advocate for Roman Reigns. So it'll be interesting to see how Paul Heyman handles this going forward, who he ends up siding with. So that'll be interesting going forward. We also saw yesterday the return of Becky Lynch. She made her return, and that was getting panned on social media last night, because she took out the SmackDown Women's Champion with one move, Bianca Belair. With one move, Becky Lynch came out, and with one move took out Bianca Belair, who the WWE had built up over the past year or so while Becky had been out. One move, boom, and Becky Lynch becomes your new SmackDown Women's World Champion. People were absolutely going crazy, enraged that the WWE would do that to Bianca Belair, who the WWE Universe loves, and who the WWE had been building up. To just have her squashed like a bug like that was absolutely wrong by the WWE. It was great to see, and people love to see Becky Lynch back. Becky Lynch got a huge pop, but they wanted to see an actual match and got treated to 30 seconds, 15 seconds, boom, match is over. Becky Lynch is your new champion. And the other move that
I think that one was rigged.
Well, we know that WWE pre-plans everything, Mike. We know that. And for the WWE, the writers to do that was absolutely, we'll see what's in store. Maybe they have a rematch this coming Friday on SmackDown. We'll see what the storyline is going forward. We know that Seth Rollins lost his match to Edge last night, so maybe there's a turn by Seth Rollins now that Becky Lynch is back, or maybe Becky Lynch turns heel. Who knows? We'll have to see on SmackDown what the WWE has in place for Becky Lynch. But to have her squash Bianca Belair, who the WWE put a lot of time and effort to build up over the past year, was mind-boggling. You also had on the Raw side, you had Charlotte Flair winning the Raw Women's title from Nikki ASH last night. Almost the superhero. Charlotte Flair now has the title, so we'll see what happens with that world title on Raw. But now Charlotte has that world title as well. So we had a few title changes over at SummerSlam and some mega returns. I think that was in response for CM Punk going to AEW. So let us know how you feel on our social media sites. Again, at Sports Skillet on Twitter. And you can let us know what you see here on YouTube, Facebook, however you are finding us. Drop us a line. Let us know what you feel about today's NASCAR race, the NFL preseason, what you thought of SummerSlam, how you think WWE or AEW is going to be going forward. And on that note, I think we will end it unless there's something you think we didn't get to, Mike.
Yeah, I do want to go over Hurricane Henri for a bit. I do have friends on the island that are in the storm zone. I just want to say to my friends there, Isles Girl 3 and my Kim Possible fan friend Dana, stay safe, you girls. Let's get through this together.
Exactly.
To Kim Moisa, Isles Girl, who is Isles Girl 3 on YouTube and Twitter, and to my Kim Possible fan friend Dana, stay safe, girls. Love you. We'll get through this.
Absolutely, we will, and we hope the damage from the storm isn't too severe. They are anticipating a lot of loss of power for people directly in the storm's sight line and everything. So we hope that people get their power back on real soon, and we hope the damage isn't too bad from the storm.
It's hitting there right now, according to the track.
Ooh, not good at all. I know here where we tape it in the New Jersey area, we got some rain last night. Don't know if we'll get some more today or not, but we did.
Right.
We might, but it doesn't look too severe from where we're at. But we know if you're in the track of that storm, things may not be looking too good for you at the moment. So again, our thoughts are with everybody in the line of that storm, and we do hope that the damage isn't too severe for everybody. So again, we want to thank the Heat Ratio for hosting us. Again, do a search for Heat Ratio. Great content always going on Heat Ratio. Do a search for Sports Skillet on social media site, and head over to sportsskilletradio.com for related sports news. Great articles by Mike as well, and we got our Twitter feed going 24/7, so feel free to respond to that as well. And we hope everybody out there has a great week, and we will see you back here again next Sunday.
Stays right where Allen wants to go. Wants the baseline, fade away.